I've been engaged multiple times but never made it down the aisle. So when my sister married before me and stole my moment, I spiraled, ruined her wedding day, and sent her a $10,000 therapy bill for the depression she caused me. I'm going to try to lay everything out clearly instead of jumping straight to the part everyone will judge. I'm the older sister. That matters more than people like to admit. I've been engaged 3 times over the last decade. None of them made it down the aisle. And yes, I'm aware that looks bad on paper. The easy explanation everyone loves is that I'm dramatic, intense, or impossible. The reality is more complicated than that. But over time, my family stopped caring about the details and just slapped a label on me. The first engagement ended because he cheated. I found out months later and walked away. The second one fell apart because he said I made him feel like he was auditioning for my life instead of building one with me. That one hurt because I didn't realize wanting commitment was considered pressure. The third was the ugliest. I found out he'd been leaning on me financially while telling people I was controlling. I ended it the same week I found out. After that, the narrative in my family shifted. I stopped being the one who knows what she wants and became unlucky in love. Every breakup was treated like proof that I was the problem. It didn't matter what actually happened. The outcome was enough. My younger sister has always been the opposite in their eyes. She's easy, calm, flexible, the one who doesn't rock the boat. If I'm the storm cloud, she's the clear sky everyone prefers. Growing up, this dynamic was subtle. As adults, it's not. When she got engaged, it happened fast. Short relationship, quick proposal, even quicker planning. I found out the same way everyone else did, through a family group chat. No warning, no private conversation, just pictures of a ring and everyone losing their minds. And they really did lose their minds. My parents immediately offered money. Relatives started talking about venues and dresses and travel. People who barely showed up for my engagement parties were suddenly all in. I was congratulated, sure, but more in a polite, distant way, like a coworker you don't actually know. I started noticing I wasn't included in planning conversations. Decisions were already made before I heard about them. When I asked questions, I was told things like, "It's not that deep," or "We're just keeping it simple." At one point, my sister joked that she didn't want to wait forever like me. Everyone laughed. I was told I was being sensitive when I didn't. What really pushed me over the edge was the date. She chose a weekend that was meaningful to me for reasons my family is very aware of. It lined up closely with a wedding date I'd had to cancel years earlier. I asked her about it privately, calmly. I wasn't yelling or accusing. I just wanted acknowledgement. She denied any intent and said I was projecting my issues onto her happiness. When I brought it up to my parents, they shut it down immediately. I was told verbatim, "This isn't about you, and you've had your chances." That sentence did more damage than anyone seems to understand. By the time the wedding came around, I was already emotionally frayed. I went anyway, because not going would have been another thing used against me. I tried to be normal, I tried to smile, but there's only so much swallowing you can do before it comes back up. Something happened at the reception. I'm not going to spell it out yet because that's not the point of this post. What I will say is that I said something honest. Something that had been sitting there for years. It wasn't screamed, it wasn't violent, but once it was out, it changed the entire room. People went quiet. My parents panicked. My sister broke down. The rest of the night unraveled from there. I left early. The fallout didn't wait until the next day. Now everyone is calling me cruel, jealous, unstable. No one wants to talk about what led up to it. No one wants to acknowledge how long I've been minimized and dismissed. I'm being told I ruined her wedding, as if that moment existed in a vacuum. So I'm asking here, before I explain the rest, am I really the asshole for finally refusing to swallow this? Or is everyone just uncomfortable that I stopped playing my assigned role? Update 1. A lot of people asked what I actually did at the wedding. So I'm going to explain it plainly, not to justify it, but because the vague version has turned into something way more dramatic than reality, and I'm not going to let everyone else control the narrative while pretending nothing led up to it. I didn't wake up that morning planning to ruin anything. I wasn't sitting there plotting how to destroy her day. I showed up already exhausted, already angry, already feeling like I was there to play a role that had been written for me. Smile, keep quiet, don't make it about you. That's been the rule for years. The ceremony itself was fine. I stayed seated, didn't cause a scene, didn't cry or storm out or do anything obvious. If people want to believe I stood up and screamed during the vows, they're wrong. I clapped. I smiled when expected. I did what I was supposed to do. Things shifted at the reception. There were speeches planned. I wasn't on the official list. I didn't demand a microphone or interrupt someone mid-sentence. What happened was that someone else wrapped up, there was that awkward pause, and I was encouraged to say a few words because I'm the older sister and family should speak. That context keeps getting left out. I stood up already feeling raw. I didn't toast to fairy tales or destiny. I talked about timing, about how life doesn't always reward patience, about how some people are celebrated for arriving at the finish line while others are told they took too long to matter. I didn't name names, but anyone who knew our family knew exactly what I was talking about. The room changed fast. You could feel it. People stopped eating. My parents looked panicked in that way they do when they realize something isn't going to stay contained. My sister started crying before I even sat back down. That's the part people keep calling sabotage. I didn't lie. I didn't invent anything. I said things that had been brushed aside for years, just not at a time that made everyone comfortable. After that, everything unraveled quickly. My sister left the room. Her new husband followed. Guests started whispering. A few people avoided eye contact with me completely. Others came up later and quietly said they understood, which somehow made everything worse. I didn't get dragged out by security or anything dramatic like that. I left on my own because it was clear I wasn't welcome anymore. I went home feeling strangely calm, like something that had been sitting in my chest for years finally cracked open. That calm didn't last. The messages started coming in that night and didn't stop for days. I was accused of being jealous, bitter, unstable. I was told I'd humiliated her on purpose, that I wanted to punish her for being happy, that I'd ruined something she'd never get back. No one asked why I felt the way I did. No one asked what had been said to me over the years to get us here. What really stood out was how quickly everything became about intent. Everyone decided I must have planned it, that I woke up and chose violence. That version is easier for them than accepting that maybe things had been building for a long time, and ignoring them didn't make them disappear. The message that hit the hardest was the long one from my sister a few days later. It wasn't angry at first, it was disappointed. She framed herself as the victim of my unresolved issues. She said I'd always wanted to compete with her, that I couldn't stand seeing her win, that I'd chosen her wedding day to unload my baggage instead of dealing with it like an adult. That's when something in me snapped again. I've been in therapy for years, not casually, not once a month when things feel bad, consistently. A lot of that therapy has been spent unpacking family dynamics, minimization, being cast as the problem because I don't smooth things over. I've paid for that work myself. No help, no support, just bills and time. So I sent her an invoice. Before people lose their minds, it wasn't a legal document. It wasn't me trying to sue her. It was itemized, detailed, and very intentional. I put a number on years of emotional fallout that everyone pretends came out of nowhere. $10,000. Therapy sessions, missed work, the cost of constantly being told to shrink myself so other people could feel comfortable. I told her it was symbolic, but I also meant it. If I'm supposedly powerful enough to destroy her mental health with one speech, then she doesn't get to pretend her behavior over the years was harmless. Actions have costs. Mine are just finally visible. The reaction was immediate and explosive. My parents called in a panic. Extended family got involved. Suddenly, I wasn't just the sister who ruined a wedding. I was the unstable one sending threatening invoices. No one wanted to talk about why therapy was even part of the conversation. I know how this looks. I'm not pretending it was kind or graceful, but I'm done absorbing all the damage quietly while everyone else walks away clean. I said what I said. I sent what I sent. And whether people like it or not, pretending this all came out of nowhere is the biggest lie of the entire situation. I'll explain what happened next in another update because that's when the family really started choosing sides. Update 2. The first move came from my parents. Not quietly, not gently. I was told I needed to apologize publicly, not just to my sister, but to the family. The wording mattered. They weren't asking me to talk it out or explain myself. They wanted a reset, a statement, something that would make everyone comfortable again. I said no. I told them I wasn't going to pretend I was jealous or unstable just so everyone else could move on. That was apparently the wrong answer. After that, the tone shifted from disappointed to angry. I was accused of humiliating them, of embarrassing the family, of making things impossible to fix. No one asked what I would need to feel okay. The only thing that mattered was damage control. My sister refused to speak to me at all unless I did two things: admit I was jealous and retract what I said at the wedding. Not clarify, not explain, retract. As if the words themselves were the problem, not the years behind them. That's when extended family started chiming in. Some cut me off completely. I stopped getting invited to things I'd always been included in. Group chats went quiet. A few people unfollowed me without saying anything. Others reached out privately and told me they didn't agree with how I handled it, but they understood why I snapped. Those messages were always quiet, always careful, like they were afraid of being overheard. What I didn't expect were the side conversations. An aunt told me my sister had complained about me for years, that she felt like my drama sucked the oxygen out of every room. A cousin admitted my sister had rushed the wedding because she didn't want to risk me getting engaged again and becoming the focus. That one stuck with me longer than I'd like to admit. Then I started going back through old messages. Nothing explosive on its own, but patterns started to show. Comments about not wanting to wait around forever. Jokes about how things always fall apart for me. Subtle stuff that's easy to dismiss until you line it all up. I shared some of those messages with my parents, not to win, just to show them I wasn't imagining things. It didn't land the way I thought it would. They said I was digging for justification and turning everything into a competition. That hurt more than I expected, mostly because it confirmed something I'd suspected for a long time. They were more invested in peace than fairness. Outside the family, things got awkward fast. I didn't post anything about this anywhere, but people talk. A coworker asked if everything was okay, in a way that made it clear they'd heard something. Friends stopped inviting me to casual get-togethers. Nothing dramatic, just a slow pullback, the kind that makes you feel radioactive. I could tell the story was being framed without me. I was the bitter sister who couldn't handle being single. The one who lashed out because she couldn't stand not being the center of attention. It didn't matter that I'd been trying to talk about this for years in quieter ways. This was louder, so it became the whole truth. Here's the part I'm not proud of but won't lie about. I did enjoy some of the chaos. Not all of it, but there was a sense of relief in watching everything crack instead of pretending it was solid. For once, my sister wasn't composed and untouchable. For once, my parents didn't have a neat explanation ready. Things were messy, and I wasn't the only one uncomfortable. That doesn't mean I think I handled everything well. I know the invoice escalated things. I know the timing of what I said was brutal, but I'm tired of being told that my delivery invalidates my point. If I'd stayed quiet, I'd still be wrong. If I speak up, I'm cruel. There's no version where I come out clean. What bothers me the most is how quickly everyone decided who deserved protection. My sister's feelings were treated like something fragile and sacred. Mine were treated like an inconvenience that should have been managed better. That difference didn't start at the wedding. It just became impossible to ignore afterward. I'm not speaking to most of my family. Some people are waiting for me to cave. Others are waiting for me to implode so they can say they were right. I don't feel vindicated anymore, but I also don't feel regret in the way people want me to. I told the truth in a way that made it impossible to ignore. Everything that's happening now is just everyone reacting to that. Update 3. The first response didn't even come from my sister. It came from her husband. A very polite, very formal message saying the invoice was inappropriate, defamatory, and if I didn't retract it, they'd explore their options. I don't need a law degree to understand what that meant. It wasn't emotional, it wasn't messy, it was clean and controlled, which somehow made it worse. My parents panicked immediately, not because they thought I'd crossed a line, but because they were terrified of how it looked. They kept using words like paper trail and reputation, and this could get ugly. I was told, again, to apologize. Not privately this time, formally, in writing. Something that could be shown to lawyers if needed. I didn't do it. Instead, I doubled down in the worst way. I sent a follow-up email clarifying that the invoice was a reflection of emotional damages and years of therapy, not a billing error. I didn't threaten anything. I didn't raise the amount, but I also didn't walk it back. In my head, backing down would have meant admitting the whole thing was a joke, and it wasn't. That's when I lost someone I didn't expect to lose. A friend I've had since college called me out of nowhere. Not to yell, not to comfort me, just to say she couldn't support this anymore. She said she believed I was hurt, but watching me escalate felt like watching someone light fires just to see who runs first. She told me I'd crossed from honest into vindictive, and she didn't want to be around for whatever came next. I tried to argue. I tried to explain. I brought up everything I've already said here. She listened, then told me something that's been stuck in my head ever since. That at some point, being wronged stops being the most interesting thing about you. She hasn't spoken to me since. Around this time, therapy got heavier. My sessions stopped being about my sister and started being about me, which I didn't love. My therapist started asking questions I didn't have good answers for, about patterns, about why every engagement ended with me feeling blindsided, about whether I really never saw it coming, or if I just ignored the signs because I liked the story I was telling myself. I hated those sessions. Still do. It forced me to look back at things I've always framed as bad luck. One fiancé cheating out of nowhere, another leaving because of pressure, another who used me financially. When you line them up, it stops looking random. I'm not saying it's all my fault, but I am saying I'm the common denominator, and that realization doesn't come with relief. It comes with dread. The confrontation with my sister happened after that. Not planned, not mediated. She showed up at my apartment unannounced. I almost didn't open the door, but I did. It wasn't cathartic. It wasn't cinematic. It was ugly in a quiet way. We didn't scream. We didn't cry. We just said things we'd been holding on to for years without softening them. She admitted she'd resented me, that growing up, everything around me felt intense and heavy, and she learned early that being easy was how she got space. She admitted she rushed the wedding because she didn't want to wait, didn't want to second guess, didn't want to end up like me. She said that last part flatly, not cruelly, which somehow made it worse. I told her she'd always known how to make herself look harmless while cutting me down in small ways, that she hid behind jokes and timing and plausibility, that she liked being the reasonable one because it meant she never had to examine her impact. She said I liked being the wounded one because it gave me permission to scorch everything around me. Neither of us apologized. Neither of us walked away feeling understood. But for the first time, she did say she knew she wasn't innocent, just not as guilty as I wanted her to be. That was the moment I realized something important. No version of this ends with me feeling satisfied. The legal threat hasn't turned into anything formal yet, but it's hovering. My parents barely talk to me now. When they do, it's stiff and careful, like they're choosing words that won't escalate me. My sister and I don't speak at all. The friend I lost still hasn't reached out. And the bill? It's still unpaid, still sitting there, doing exactly what I sent it to do, keeping the wound open. I don't regret sending it. I regret thinking it would land cleanly. I wanted acknowledgement, not consequences. That was never realistic. At this point, I can feel people turning on me in a way that's less emotional and more settled. Less outrage, more conclusion. Final update. The legal threat over the therapy bill went nowhere. Their lawyer sent one more stiff letter. My therapist advised me not to respond. I didn't retract the invoice, but I also didn't escalate. It just sat there, unpaid, unacknowledged. Eventually, it stopped being the center of things and turned into background noise, like a ringing you notice only when the room goes quiet. My parents and I don't talk the way we used to. We still exchange messages on birthdays and holidays. Very neutral, very surface level. No updates about their lives unless it's logistical. No curiosity about mine unless it's framed as concern. It feels less like estrangement and more like a ceasefire. No one wants another incident. They never ask me to apologize again, but I can tell they're waiting for it anyway. Like if I just say the right thing, in the right tone, everything could reset. The problem is that the apology they want requires me to take on a version of events I don't fully believe, and I'm not willing to do that just to regain access. My sister and I are fully no contact now. That wasn't dramatic. It just happened. After our last conversation, there was nothing left to clarify. She blocked me. I didn't try to get around it. I think we both understood that any further interaction would only reopen the same wounds without changing the outcome. She's still married. From what little I hear, it hasn't been smooth. Therapy is ongoing. Trust issues came up fast. I don't feel satisfaction about that, but I don't feel guilt either. This is one of those places where I know people want a cleaner emotion from me, and I just don't have it. Her marriage surviving or failing isn't my responsibility, even if I was part of the damage. Socially, my life is smaller now. Some friends drifted away quietly. Others made it clear they didn't want to be pulled into family drama. A few stayed, but the dynamic shifted. I can feel them choosing their words around me, like they're unsure what will set me off. That part stings more than I expected. Work stabilized eventually. Nothing formal ever happened, but I could tell people knew something. Not details, just the sense that I was a lot. That label sticks. Once you get it, everything you do is filtered through it. Therapy didn't turn me into a softer person. If anything, it made me more aware of how sharp I am. I see the patterns now, not in a way that absolves everyone else, but in a way that makes it harder to keep pretending I'm just unlucky. I don't take full responsibility for what happened, but I also don't get to act surprised by the fallout anymore. Do I regret ruining the wedding? I regret the timing, not the truth. I regret how public it became, not what was said. I know that's not a popular distinction, but it's the honest one. That day was never just about her marriage. It was the moment everything I'd swallowed for years came back up at once. I lost access to my family because I refused to be quiet one more time. I also lost the illusion that speaking up would make things better. Both things can be true. I didn't win in any meaningful sense. There's no prize for being technically right while your phone stops lighting up. But I also didn't lose in the way people keep suggesting. I didn't collapse. I didn't beg. I didn't rewrite myself to be palatable again. What's left is clarity, not peace, not growth. Just a clear understanding of the trade I made.